Hello, everyone. This is Aaditya Mehta, and you are listening to podcast on personality development. And I welcome you all to the fourth episode of December Delightful Conversations. Yes, we are on the fourth episode, and the previous three episodes have got a lot of love and support from you guys. And I'm sure you are loving this because there has been the most listeners in the entire year, and that is just in last three episodes of December. And that's just amazing. So thank you so much, guys, for giving me so much love and support. And today what we are going to talk about is we are going to talk about a person's journey. Okay, I met her in the beautiful place of Panchgani, and I thought like her story should be on the air. And I invited her on the podcast, and literally after year and a half she is now on the podcast, right? So it's just amazing. I am really excited to talk about her. And believe me, she is the girl who has done CA, MBA, and she has worked in the corporate, and now she has her own business, her own startup. Let's get going with knowing about her journey, but before that, I just want to tell you that now you can ask questions to the experts who comes on this show. How you say it? Simple. All you have to do is you can just join the WhatsApp community of this podcast, and I'll be uploading all the experts who are going to come on this show, and you can ask questions, and I'll be asking those questions on behalf of you on the show, mentioning your name. So make sure to join the WhatsApp community. Intro music is going to play, and till the time I'll get the expert of today's show, you can join the WhatsApp community. Here we go. Hello and welcome back to podcast on personality development, and this is the fourth episode of December Delightful Conversations. And today we have a person who has a wonderful startup, a very unique startup, okay, where she had explained me long back, and all I remember is with the help of the mobile app, she used to. She is currently doing. I think that she actually tries all the outfit on you, especially for women. So I'm really excited to know more about it, and I'm sure you are as well. So let's welcome the very beautiful Jaini Haria. Hi Jaini, what's up? How are you doing?
Hi, I'm amazing. How are you doing? And thank you so much for that kind introduction. That was not so necessary, but thank you so much.
Of course, you deserve that, and you have made me wait for like 1.5 years. So I definitely have to mention that she is really busy, guys. I'm telling you this, but Jenny, thank you so much once again for giving me your precious time, and to the audience of this show as well. I'm sure they are going to get some great values from you. So Jenny, without getting started into the show, I would just like to ask you if you can give a brief introduction of yours. Whatever I said, I know it's just a short and crisp introduction, but please give us your brief introduction.
Sure. So, hi guys. I am Jaini Haria. I am the founder of the brand J. Like Aditya mentioned, partially we are into size inclusive power dressing. And we have some unique concept called Size U, where we can capture all our measurements with just two photos, and using those measurements, we can tailor all the garments to your size. So no matter what your size or shape is, we have something for everybody. We don't quite have that trying on clothes part yet, but that's the piece we are working on. So soon there will also be a piece of tech where for your body type with your measurements, you'll actually be able to see how the particular garment looks on you online before even having to purchase it. So yeah, so that's broadly what we do. It's been around above 2 years since I've been working on this. Around 10 months since we've officially, sorry, 12 months since we've officially launched the website, and it's been quite a journey. Um, Quick background: I was originally a chartered accountant. Went on to do my MBA from XLRI. That's one of the top schools of India. Um, Worked as an investment banker for a year and a half. Did work on good two marquee deals. One of them was Boat Lifestyle that got funded by Warburg Pincus. That was a huge 2,000 crore deal. And another one was a South spices company called Eastern Condiments, which got acquired by an Oslo-based company, Okla. So these were like good two deals that I worked on, and the reason I'm mentioning that is because it gave me great exposure about an established company like Eastern and a startup like Boat. And Boat is what actually inspired me to start something like this. And when I was working as a banker, we were supposed to dress well to work, and that's when I realized that this particular space does not have a lot of penetration in India. There are not a lot of brands, Indian brands working on it. So I thought, why not start something unique and see if we can make a difference really. So left on my good job, figured out the fashion space. It was definitely not easy. It is definitely not easy, but still figuring out. And here I am speaking to you all, Aditya. The reason I'm finally meeting you is because I didn't have a lot to say earlier. Now I have quite a lot to say, so there's nothing to do with time.
Right, right. Of course. No, but genuinely speaking, I do follow you on Instagram and I see a lot of good work which you're doing. So, congratulations to that.
Thank you.
I
Thank you so much.
really, get motivated by you because I do remember when we met in Panchgani, you were starting out and, you were fighting with procrastination as well somewhere because you were like, I have to find time to do this, I have to find time to do that. And finally you are there. So it's really amazing to see how you are growing. So, I really feel very proud that I have met a person, okay, and later on when I want to brag to someone that what the founder of this brand has first time ever done the podcast episode, and that was on my podcast, okay.
Yeah, yeah, you
So
can definitely
I'm
brag about that if and when it goes, like if and when we do that good. And thank you for your wishes for that.
Of course. So, diving straight into your journey, okay, like first of all, there are many people out there who wants to do a startup, okay. They just want to quit their jobs, they want to start something new, and there is a lots and lots of things which people want to do, and but sometimes what happens is that they don't understand where to get started, okay. And most of the times took they can take those hasty decisions and later on regret on that. So first of all, the genuine question which I would like to ask you is, like, when you left your so good job where you were getting some good payments, I would say, that could pay your bills. So what kind of preparation was there? Like, how much did you saved up and then thought like, okay, now if I don't earn for, let's say, another 2 years, it's going to be fine. So what was that thought process before leaving your good job and then coming into the startup industry?
So when I was leaving Avendis, I did have some savings. I won't say a lot. Um, I did have something good enough to at least get started with. I had my father's support also with respect to some financial investment. And back then, I so so my advice and the way I operate and what I really feel anybody who wants to start up should do is don't think too much. What we end up doing is we end up over analyzing every situation. What if I fail? What if this doesn't work? What if what I'm doing is not wrong? That's not how startups work. In a startup, every second day what you're doing is going to be wrong, and you have to be firefighting every damn day. There are going to be problems all around you. So it's never a call of whether this decision was right or wrong. It's a call of, did you take that decision thinking that you were doing it for the benefit of your startup? If you did it, then it's the right decision. Even if the consequences were different, which is always the case in a startup, at least you took that step, at least you took that decision. So that's how I usually operate. I usually, like, I have my tagline, it's called go with the flow. Don't overanalyze the situation. So when I was leaving a vendor's, I just knew that there was this problem to solve. Before leaving my job, I did speak to around 300 people to understand what were the problems they were facing in this space. And these 300 people, most of them were working in corporates, so we did understand quite a lot in depth the actual problem care. So back then, sizing or fitting or size you was never even a consideration to start with. I just wanted to build a good power dressing brand that has great clothes inspired by shows like Suits, some Korean drama, etc. But when I did my survey, I realized that sizing is honestly a very big problem, bigger problem than designs, I'd say, that needs to be solved. And the idea pivoted even before we started that, let's do this along with it designs. So I think the first step is to just speak to people and understand whether what you're thinking of or the idea that you have, does it really need solving? Is there a real problem? Sometimes there are a lot of these tertiary problems that people try to solve, and it's a great thing. There is no startup that is not good, but um, impact is what drives what the success of your startup really belongs to. So that's my key piece, is just speak to people. Even if you're working, even if you think you can't quit your job, it's okay. Just spend your weekends or your free hours speaking to people. Research is one of the first things that you're supposed to do before starting anything, and that lays the foundation of, or it gives the meaning to what you're building.
Wonderfully said, Jenny. I really appreciate those words. Researching is really an important task before starting any startup. I mean, that has one of the things I believe I did back when this podcast was also launched, along with my job. So I completely understand that, and also you did a financial saving as well. So you were good at financial planning, being a CA. That knowledge gave you a good exposure of how you are going to take things ahead. However, during the startups, what happens is that I know your tagline is go with the flow, but I saw personally, right, you were struggling with procrastination when it was just started. So, what is that one thing which you were, thinking during that period when it was just started? Okay. And how did you overcome those feelings and, really started to work on the things which were really needed? And I remember at that point of time, you were also getting into marriage. So, it was your marriage season as well, somewhere around after a month or 2 months, or maybe after 6 months, you were going to get married as well. So, even that preparation was going on.
Yeah.
How did you manage these two things? Okay. And what was that secret mantra which you applied that, what, come what may, I'm going to do this?
Wow. So actually, the Panchgani trip, more than procrastination, I think it was out of frustration. I was just tired of so many things going on at home. I was like, fuck it, I just want to run away and be at peace for like 2 days, not think about what's going on. So I spoke to my then fiance that, you know what, I'm really pissed or frustrated. I just want to take a break. So he recommended that why don't you just go to Panchgani and have a good time, just relax, and then see what comes next. So there was just so much going on at that time. I was
Hmm.
working on my startup. Clearly, things were not rosy back then. I was just figuring out the space. Plus,
Right.
there was this whole load of work of the wedding that was coming over. But I think the one thing that really is important in both these scenarios is that you need to keep your people around you, your family, your friends, aligned on the fact that there are these two big things that you're working on and you need their help or you need their support. That's like the most important part because you cannot do everything alone. That's almost impossible, right? But if you have the support of even two to three people who know that Jenny is busy with these things, let me take care of a few other things for her, or let me just support her wherever she needs help. I think that's something that is really important. And no matter like whether you have a wedding or anything else in the entire startup journey, asking for help and letting people know that you need help in certain scenarios is completely okay, and it's very important to do that. So I had a great support system around me. Imagine my fiance telling me to go on a solo trip just to figure out what
Yeah.
is going to happen. Yeah, so I had like a good support system who knew what pisses me off, who knew what calms me down, who knew what I really need. And we had great communication in terms of me telling them what is really stressing me out. And these things kind of helped me, sail through it very easily. So it honestly, it obviously there were times of frustration, but it wasn't that difficult to look back and say, did I really go through a lot of difficulty? Not really. So it
Hmm.
was quite a quick, good sail through. Great family to support, and they still keep supporting me till date. And I am very grateful for having that. So that's my thought process on like in a startup, there is always going to be too many things that are happening around you. Like I said earlier, you're always going to be firefighting every day. If you have a partner, you both can do it together. If you're doing it alone, like for me, I'm a solo founder. Procrastination comes where there are just a million things that a single person has to do.
Hmm.
And obviously, you can't do all of those things alone, right? That's where procrastination comes in because then you start prioritizing and deprioritizing, and sometimes there are important tasks that you don't want to touch because you know that they're going to be very consuming for you. So you
Right.
keep procrastinating on them. So the key is just delegate as much as you can, take help as much as you can, prioritize your tasks, and make sure that you're not the only one working for 24 hours a day.
Hmm.
And there needs to be support. You just can't do it all alone.
Wonderful. And I believe you got some good friends in Panchgani as well. So yeah, I think that helped as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. Of course, of course. No, that was like damn refreshing. And it was actually a very, very good trip. One that I really look back to and say that, hey, I made good friends there or, had a good relaxed time there. We should do it again.
Of course, we should. Anyways, uh, it was really an amazing trip for me as well. And I believe I think I got a good guest on the show as well. So I think that's a win-win for me. Anyways, going ahead, okay, Janie, like you mentioned about the family support which you had, okay, and the family support is literally very much important for any startup which is going to which is that just into its initial phases, okay, and at that point of time you need a family support, and you mentioned that quite amazingly. Any advice you would like to give to the family of the person who is doing this startup, and like how they can support, like you mentioned they supported you during the marriage, that these are the things which they can do. But normally what happens is that when a person or man or a woman, okay, who is going for a startup, at that point of time it is really difficult to find time for the family. It is really difficult to support your family financially. However, some people do great financial planning and then they do it, but there are certain cases like that. So what is that one advice which you would like to give to the family of those people who are just starting up their businesses?
Funnily enough, a startup journey is more difficult for the family of the founder than the founder themselves because the
Oh,
family has to tolerate all the tantrums, all the frustrations, all the stress period that the founder has, right? You are just one people, but there is an ecosystem around you that is kind of revolving around you. So if you are too busy with your work or if you are frustrated with your work, everybody around you is affected, right? So my piece of advice to the family is just to let that person be what they're doing at, and even if they get frustrated or even if they get stressed, or if they're not able to give you time, you just have to be patient enough to understand that there is a reason they are not able to do it, and that's because they can't do it. It's not because they don't want to do it, it's just because it's not possible for them at that particular time point in time to be able to give you any time.
Hmm.
um, but at the same time, it's also important for them to make the person realize that, hey, there are other things that are important, in a way that doesn't really, put the demotivate the person. But it's also important for founders to realize that they do need to clock out of their work at some time. So first year of my startup, when I started up back in 2021, I used to legit work for 16 hours a day and not give my time to anybody. Back then, was even not married. So I used to sit at home in front of my laptop or speak to people, and used to be at work all day. My parents used to come, try to have conversations or try to just discuss something about the wedding. I'll be like, no, I'm working, we'll talk later.
Hmm.
But I realized that I only had so much time with my family back then because I was getting married, right? So I just made a conscious call that on weekends, at least for just one day on weekends, I'm going to clock out of work and I'm going to give as much time as I can to them. And then once that one day is sufficient, every other day they were supposed to understand that now I'm not going to be disturbed because
Hmm.
I'm going to be working other 6 days and one day is for them. So kind of like division helped a lot, and I still keep continuing that. Weekends are usually for family, and because you're the founder, you have to decide what kind of drill you want to go to. Whether you want to
Hmm.
keep working, keep slogging, and build like a unicorn in 2 years, or you want to take it like at a medium pace, work as a human for like 6 days a week, spend time with your peers and the family and friends, because that's equally important for our rejuvenation as well, right? We also need a refresh every week.
Hmm.
So it's completely on the founder also what kind of startup or what pace do they want to build their startup. So that and keeping your family aligned will help take it ahead smoothly.
Wonderfully said, and I completely understand that now. I mean, audience, I always tell you this, and I'm going to tell you this again, that I hope you are sitting with a book and a pen right now, because this girl is adding a lot of value. Okay, and I'm sure that you don't want to miss it. You can always listen to this episode again and again so that it improves my listeners. But I would still love if you can note out the points which is really important for you. So do listen to this podcast very intently and try to get as much things as you want, because as much things as you need, because I really want that you can add value with the help of this podcast and with the experts who come on this show. So make sure to do that. And Jaini, I mean, this is really amazing. I'm really having a good time over here to talk to you. And this is one thing which I really want to ask, and this is really important as well for most of the people, and that is the delegation, the importance of delegation. How do you delegate things? And at the same time, like you mentioned, that you're working 16 hours a day. Okay. But was there delegation involved in that or not? And once you found out, let's say that there needs to be a delegation, and to the people, of course, because nowadays HR plays a very important role, and you have to identify what person is going to do what kind of job for them, right? So, any particular advice on delegation of work, which could help a lot of people, not only startup people, but also the people who are leading a particular position in a corporate company as well.
I think one piece at that is that you first need to identify what your own strengths are, right? That is
Yeah.
part number A. What you yourself are really good and fast at. Point number two is what you need to identify what kind of output is non-negotiable for you. Let me give you an example. For marketing creatives play a very, very important role, right? And I have a marketing team that keeps working on it. But they make all the creatives, they do everything, but I always have a final say on it. And the reason it the wrong creative going up is non-negotiable. It cannot happen. There cannot be grammatical errors. There cannot be alignment errors. There cannot be any error. So while the team is working on it already, I have a final say that takes literally 1 minute of my time, but that's like the most important part of the entire process. So the two things that here are important: A, what my strengths are, and B, what kind of output is non-negotiable for me if somebody else is doing it. Once you identify these things, the next step to identify is what are the strengths of your teammates. Now, even if that person is working on marketing, it's not important that they have all the bits of marketing in place. Like, for example, that person is also creative, that person is also perfect with the creative output. Like, having creative ideas and putting it out on paper are like two different things. So the output is equally this thing. Are they also good at communicating? Because communication is one of the important parts of marketing. So there are like multiple facets of every role, but that one person cannot be good at all the roles, right? So identifying what the strength of your teammates is, and then delegating that I know that this person is great at this, so let me just give her this work and XYZ, and I'm going to handle what I am best at this point of time. And if there are some things that are non-negotiable, I'm just going to oversee those things. As a founder, you cannot oversee everything. There are some things you just have to trust your team to do them right, and they will just keep. For example, operations. You can't keep I can't keep reviewing every single order that goes out of the warehouse, right? I need my team, or I need to trust my team to be able to take care of it. But I can oversee every piece of creative that goes out because that's something that is important. So trusting your team with their skills and responsibilities and just working on the ones that are important for you is the right way to go. And as the founder, in the beginning one year, you will hardly have a team, right? You will not have a lot of money to have a team as well, or you won't have the right hires. Many a time there are a lot of wrong hirings that
Hmm.
happen. So at that time, I think you can just take help from your friends who will be willing to help you a little bit for a few things. For example, what I had done back then last year is for every particular task or domain that I had, for example, designs was one domain, marketing was another domain. Back then, operations were not that heavy because we were just starting up. But I had made groups for these specific domains with a few, two or three friends that I knew were best at these domains. Like I knew three people who were great at marketing. I knew three people who were great at design. So I made WhatsApp groups with them, and any query I had or anything I had, I used to just ask for help there, and they used to very happily help out because it's very interesting for them as well. So
Hmm.
those people were my team back then. And fast forward to now, I have a great team. I know what their skill sets are, and they are doing amazing at what they are doing. And it's been a very smooth journey since then because we all know what we want to do. So that I think helps a lot in deciding how to delegate and how to get the work out smoother than like as smooth as you can.
Wonderfully said. Thank you so much, Jaini, for answering that. Because, and also most of the friends who are listening to this, if your friend is going for a startup, do help them out. And also, Jaini, like I normally don't do this, but I'll still do this over here in this episode. Any shout outs which you would like to give, let's say to your mentor, to your friends, anything which you would like to do on this
It's
show?
a long list. It's a very long list. I've had like angels and like tons of people help me through their journey. So many people I didn't even know for a second, and they helped me out. And you don't want me to do that. I'll just spend like 15-20 minutes taking names, so it's
Go
okay.
for it. Go for five names, the top five names which you would like to mention.
uh, no, that's really difficult. One is my husband, for sure. He is literally my go-to person for everything. The second is definitely my mom. She's like the most jugadu person I ever know. So any problem that I have, she helps me solve. Um, I had this mentor back in Avendus named Vivek, oh, who who has supported me slightly financially also, and otherwise also there, like, I go to him for a lot of advice and a lot of understanding. So he is also he's also a banker now, now into finance. So so very helpful in that perspective. There is one special mention of this woman named Simran Jindal. She is from Sweden. She is the partner at one of the biggest tech companies in the world, and she found me through a random LinkedIn post. But she liked what I was doing
Hmm.
and got in touch with me through a community, and has been mentoring me since then. And she's one person I know who always keeps coming back to me. Hi, what's up? What's going? How are the numbers looking like? You know, how I
Hmm.
love your Instagram growth. So keeps following, keeps giving me advice, keeps supporting, keeps ordering. But at the same time, I know that there is somebody who's always like, there looking at my journey and seeing what I'm doing and, pushing me there. So she's been very helpful. So that's one special mention. And then fifth one, I don't know. I've just this then there's a long list of names that comes to me. There was this one person on the tech side again. I never knew that person, by the way. We don't together work together anymore. But back then, I was really struggling with my website, and I'd given it to an agency who had done a shitty job. So I fired them, and I just shut the website and started to remake it. So I met this person on LinkedIn. I was actually looking for developers to hire, and I met him. He was certainly overqualified for what my role was, but he had spare time, so he chose to help me. So he helped me selflessly without expecting any pay, without knowing me at all, and literally made the entire website for me and even handled it for a good 6 months. And I think I owe it to him because I got back on my feet because of his help. And
Hmm.
he has carried on with his job now, so he doesn't quite have time to continue, and that's why I just looked for somebody else. But the part that he was for me, I think his involvement to the startup literally gave it a new life.
Hmm.
So these are like five key people, but
Yeah.
these are not like I might be missing some names because there are a lot of
Yeah,
names.
of course, of
So
course.
no offense to anybody else who's been helping me. I'm sorry for
Of course, of course.
that.
No, you did mention that you have a long list, and I'm pretty sure it must be long. But great thing. Thank you so much for sharing that, Jaini. One last question. We are almost on the verge of ending the show, and this has been a great conversation. It has been a good 40 minutes. Yeah, and I haven't personally realized that it has been 40 minutes, you know.
Yeah.
So great conversation right now. Although there is just one last question, and which I ask to each and every expert who comes on this show, and that would be, if you have to tell all the people on of this show who are listening to this right now, if they want to reach out to you, okay, if they want to connect with you, if they want certain help, or maybe they want to try your product, how can they find you on the internet?
So multiple handles. You can find the business on Instagram at jaey.in. That's the name of the portal. That's also the name of the website. So the website is also jaey.in. If you want to reach out to me, you can DM me on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn. It's Jaini Haria on LinkedIn. JAINIHARIA. You will see a lot about Jay on my LinkedIn to understand that that's me. So just like ping me on LinkedIn, or reach out to me on Instagram, or reach out to the business on Instagram, and or you can also feel free to email me. My email is jaini@jaey.in. So that's my email. You can reach me there. I'm pretty active at all places.
Wonderfully said. So, people, all I'm going to do is mention all the things in the description. So, you are just a click away from Jaini Haria. Make sure to follow her and get connected with her. Send her lots and lots of messages if you have any questions. And but make sure to mention her that you have listened to her on podcast on personality development, so that you will be the first one to get her reply. So, make sure to do that. With that being said, Jaini, any lasting message which you would like to give to the audience?
No, I think if you are going to start up, I think just get into it. That's what my message to you. Just take an action. That's very important. And don't be afraid to fail. In fact, when I started J, my first thought was, I am going to fail. But let me just still give it a shot. Because then I don't want to go ahead in my life and look back and say that, hey, there was this one thing I wanted to try, but I didn't, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
just get into it. It might take some money. Yes. It might take some time of your life. Yes, but the learning that I've gotten in these 2 years cannot be compared with any learning that I've gotten in my entire life. Like it has literally evolved me as a person, and the daily firefighting, the way I negotiate, the way I speak to people. I mean, I know that I'm much better at all of that now. So more than anything, even if it fails, you just have a lot of learning to take ahead with you, right, in life. And that's something that I believe is more valuable than the success of the startup in itself. So that's just my 2 cents. Just go ahead, go with the flow. Just take that one step. And then uh the only thing is that you like once you give up, you give up. So you just can't give up. You just have to keep going, keep pivoting, keep changing. It's not like you like the idea that I thought at day zero is not the idea that what I'm running anymore, right? So it keeps changing. So you should be open to changing, but at the same time you should just keep going. So that's just my 2 cents to anybody who is trying to start up.
Wonderful, Jenny. Thank you so much for sharing that. And thank you so much for, again, giving your valuable time to this show and to the audience of this show. So, thank you so much. Audience, if you feel that this podcast and this episode adds value in your life, then make sure to share it with your loved ones. As Jaini mentioned, that we all need help of our friends, and I believe you all are my friends. So make sure to share it with the people, and you might never know the people you are sharing this podcast with is going to get some great value from it, and he's always going to praise you. So make sure to share it, right? With that being said, this is Aditya Mehta along with Jaini Haria signing off from this episode. See you in the next one. Till then, peace out.